So here we are, 21st of April, another month. Holy hell, ripping by. So just getting older faster, what it really boils down to. So let's take a look real quick here at this. So we have stalled out at 28, which is freaking great. I'm happy that we got that many people have jumped in here and all 5 star, all written up a hell of a review. They're all really cool to read as far as I'm concerned. They're just when you get to know what people think about the the way you've compiled the 26 letters of the alphabet in whatever order that you did to put it in a position where people are willing to put together the same 26 letters in a way here to describe what you did. That to me is awesome. So I know I'm zipping all over the place here, but put it right there so you can order it. Of course, we've got you can get the actual print hardcover, get the audiobook, get the electronic version, all right there, however you like to read it, is available to you. So just pitching out there because if I don't, nobody's gonna, right? Because nobody does unless they're paid to do so. Let's talk about what's going on in the market right now. So the big driver, interestingly enough, has to do with sales. Retail sales. That's what's driving a lot of things. Retail sales are up. Why are retail sales up? Well, let's take what's been the big thing that people are bitching about: gas prices. What are the gas prices averaged this year? So if you do that search, average gas price over the last 6 months. In fact, I will just share with you that screen so you know that I'm not jerking you off with this data, that it's real. So asked it, average gas price over 6 months. It takes you all the way back here to January, February, it even goes into November, December, $3 to $3.20 range. So in some places in January and February, it went below $3. March, $4. April, $4 to $4.25. So when you do the math on that, if it was at $3 at one point, then it goes as high as $4.25. That's a dollar. That's what, $1.25 swing. If you divide that into the average low of $3, which it was at the end of last year into the first part of this year, that's a 41% increase. Of course, retail sales are going to go up, especially when you're looking at retail sales mainly in gasoline prices. And what's interesting, they're not saying that they consume more. These numbers are saying they spent more. There's more money spent at the pump, not more fuel consumed. That's where a lot of these numbers are off, in my opinion, is they're not looking at the person's consumption, looking at the person's consumption expenditures. What did they spend on what they consumed? So that 1 gallon of gas is up 41%. So okay, they're spending 41% more money over what was being spent in January if they are consuming the exact same amount. Inflation is much higher than what they're claiming out there. So if you're thinking the inflation is low and the inflation numbers, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is giving us something accurate, it's freaking not. It hasn't ever that I'm aware of. So that is one of the drivers to what's going on with inflation. So then what's typically done in inflation? They raise rates. So we're sitting in that spot where people think, oh, they need to lower the rates. But if we're looking at things from the way that inflation's measured, inflation's through the freaking roof. Gas prices alone, 41%, guys. That's big. That's freaking big. So when you're talking about that, what are they going to do with those rates? That's an interesting situation. What's going on in the market right now? How is it reacting to this? Let's take a peek and see how the bonds are reacting. So we saw a good reaction to what was happening. Let me pull this down where it's more visible. So good reaction to the market when you had the talks of last week that they've opened up the strait going into the weekend. Then it didn't quite work out so awesome, but it still didn't freak out with what happened with the U.S. Navy taking over one of those cargo ships. There's more closure in the strait, and then today, that reading is what I think affected us the most. Those retail sales readings, especially fuel, caused a lot of this stuff. Very, very, very inflationary. Bonds don't like inflation. So this is where we're sitting. We're seeing this going up. We're seeing the market react negatively. Is it going to be a big, huge move in the bonds? Not necessarily, or in the MBSs. Sorry, MBSs are here. We're looking at them. Is it going to be a big move in the rates? No, very minimal. But it shows that we may have peaked. So this is an interesting spot to have peaked at, because typically we're at a peak at the bottom. or at top of this range here, but now it looks like we're kind of middle bound like we had been in here. So see how this is, but we're not getting very, very high above this center line that I had drawn in here some time back. So that all being the situation, we'll see how it all plays out. But if you get up to our peak, it was a fast peak, peaked up and came back down. That's, interestingly enough, in the middle between here and here. So I've got a midline between the start, the day they announced quantitative easing, the value that the security then, to the top of the security, the day where it stopped trading, the day they announced quantitative easing. I put a middle line in here. Yeah, pretty middle, pretty close. But look at this. It's peaking right in the middle of that, which is very, very interesting. It peaked right in the middle. Now, I don't know if that means anything, but these things mean something to traders. They look at these averages. They look at what's probably our median price that we'd want to get away from. Yeah, it's interesting to consider what a trader might be thinking, and that's what I'm trying to understand is what they're thinking when they're seeing these charts, and what point do they think that they're going to probably put in a sell order or a buy order or something to that effect. And that's all we can really guess at right now, because this news that's everywhere is all over the freaking place. We never know from day to day what's going to come in. And then you have this whole thing that, inflation's going up because people are spending more money. Yeah, because the shit's more expensive. That's why they're spending more money. Even if they're consuming less, they're spending more money. That's the problem with inflation. Appreciate you guys. I'll get with you on Friday and let you know where we're landing at that point, unless there's something huge, and I'll get something out then.